more labor in birth. That came as the result of sin. And living healthy, strong, 400, 500, 600 years. Man, quite a family you could have of your own kids. You don't need the grandkids and great-grandkids at that point. But you can imagine the population explosion during the 1,000 years of Christ's reign of those who are still here in these natural bodies that we possess, only renewed in that day. So the great number of people rebelling as the sand of the sea in number, and they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints about and the beloved city of Jerusalem. And fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them. No contest. It's all over. It doesn't really last. But man had the opportunity to express what was in his heart, and those that did will be wiped out. Now the devil that deceived them, and Satan is called the deceiver, he was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, which is Gehenna, where the beast and the false prophet are, not where they were destroyed, not where they were burned up, but where they are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. There is the place called hell, Hades. Prior to the death of Christ, there were two compartments, Luke 16, one for the righteous, one for the wicked. And Jesus tells about it there in Luke chapter 16, concerning the death of the rich man and concerning the death of this poor man Lazarus. And how that there was this gulf between the two, but it was the place of the dead. And Jesus, when he was crucified, went into Hades. That is the place of the dead. But when he ascended, he led those from that one part of it out of Hades. As Paul said, he who has ascended is the same one who first of all descended into the lower parts of the earth. And when he ascended, he led the captives from their captivity, and he gave gifts unto men. Hades is not a permanent place of punishment. It is sort of, you might say, a holding tank. When a person has been arrested for a major crime and they are put in prison, and because of the seriousness of the crime, there is no bail that is set. But they have not yet had their day in court. But they are held there in prison until they had their day in court, and then the sentence was given to them of the time they were to serve for the crime that they committed. But there's that difference between the being arrested and being held before your day in court and then the time of serving the sentence afterwards. These people are there waiting their day in court. It will come, the latter portion of the chapter here. But that is Hades. We will be reading in a moment that death and hell will give up the dead which are in them. There is this other place, and it seems to be the incarceration of evil spirits. And that is the abuso. This is where those demons who possessed this man in Gadara were begging Christ not to send them to the abuso before their time. This is the place where Satan will be bound for 1,000 years as Christ is reigning upon the earth. There is another place, and it only is mentioned, I think, once or twice in the scripture, and that is Tartarus, and that seems to be a place for especially evil angels are kept. And then there is the Gehenna. It is described as a place of fire and brimstone. It is described by Jesus as outer darkness. He describes it as a place where there is weeping and gnashing of teeth. And that is the final destiny for those who have rejected God, rejected God's love, have lived a life of sin, and have not come to Jesus Christ for the forgiveness of sins. So try and keep in mind the different places and the purposes for these different places. So the first occupants of Gehenna, and we don't know where that is. Hell seems to be in the heart of the earth. But Gehenna, outer darkness, weeping, gnashing of teeth. At the beginning of the 1,000-year reign of Christ, the Antichrist and the false prophet will be cast into Gehenna. Now, after the 1,000-year reign of Christ, where they are in Gehenna, Satan has been in the abuso. But now when he is released and now destroyed by God, he will at this time be sent to Gehenna, where the beast and the false prophet are. And their torment will be day and night forever and ever. Now, you say, well, you really think it is going to be forever and ever, you know? Don't you think that, hey, listen, I'm not messing with that one. In a couple chapters, we're going to read, if anyone adds to the words of this book, to him will be added the plagues that are in the book. So you don't ask me to modify what God has said, because I won't even go that direction. I may not understand it, but I'm sure not going to speculate on it either. I have a real fear of God in my heart on those issues. So, I saw a great white throne, throne of God, him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heavens fled away, and there was found no place for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were opened, and another book was opened, which is the book of life, and the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their works. Now this is after the 1,000-year reign of Christ upon the earth. We have been reigning with him. We have already stood before the judgment seat of Christ, where we receive the rewards for how we were faithful to the calling of God and to the things that God would have us to do. This is where Jesus said that our position of ruling with him will be predicated upon the faithfulness in taking care of the things that God placed under our responsibility. And it's really sort of a testing ground here for us. And we will stand before Christ to receive the rewards for the things that were done in our bodies. As we pointed out this morning, the judgment seat of Christ is far different from the judgment seat of God. The judgment seat of Christ is where the Christians or the children of God will appear, and it is a judge's seat like in the Olympics, where you receive